Hello, this is our um, presentation on Dutch Bros East Coast expansion, and I'm Oliver Osland.
I'm Kylie
I'm
Gray.
Luis Avalos. Oh, sorry. And I'm Luis Avalos.
All right.
Let's
Um,
begin.
all right, the executive summary. This project explores the idea of expanding Dutch Bros Coffee into Washington, D.C. using a various of data to see if the area would be a good fit. Dutch Bros is already well known across the West Coast and parts of the Midwest, but it hasn't yet made its way to the East Coast in a big way. Washington D.C., with its busy place, diverse population, and strong coffee culture, could be a great next step for for the brand. The goal is for this research is to find out if DC has the right demographics, demand and available space to support a successful Dutch Bros location. One of the most promising signs is the a strong percentage of the uptown individuals life mold group in DC. These are young, educated professionals who are likely to be attached to a fast, uh, in energetic brand like Dutch Bros. This aligns with the Letters of Laptops statement, which shows a high percentage of coffee drinking adults in the area. This group varies brand expansions and quickly serves all things Dutch Bros delivers well. Coffee market data for ESR, Iris, along with Aspires from New York as a comparable urban market, shows strong coffee spending trends, especially among ages 20 to 29. Looking at DC's exiting coffee shop, Dennis, wait, yeah, paired with traffic data helps possible high traffic areas that are perfect for drive-through. According to CoSports Group's commercial listings, these are plenty of suitable properties in these zones. Based on this research, Washington, D.C. has the right mix of people, demand, and commercial real estate to make Dutch Bros locations successful with the right site. Brand could thrive in the nation's capital.
Yeah.
Next slide. And this is our table of contents and our table, and next slide. And this is our table of figures.
Yep.
Next slide. All right, Dutch Bros background. Dutch Bros Coffee is a rapidly growing drive-through coffee chain founded in 1992 in Grants Pass, Oregon, by brothers Dan and Travis Boersma. Boersma originally started as a small pushcart stand. The company was born out of a desire to leave the family's dairy business after changing in the industry make it difficult to continue. With a passion for people and good coffee, the brothers turned their focus towards creating a business centered around company service and high energy. The Dutch Bros fun, upbeat culture and com- community or complement to customer service is unique. The brand is known for this friendly employees, often called ER service. The brand is known for its friendly, wait, often called brosta. I don't know how you pronounce brosta. barista who in
Barista.
yeah
You got
who
it.
endured who customers with positive energy, casual conversations, and fast, efficient service. Dutch Bros offers a wide range of customizable drinks, including coffee, energy drinks, teas, and smoothies, allowing customers to create something that fits their taste. These focus on personalization and customer experience has helped build a loyal following, especially among uh, younger people. Over the years, Dutch Bros has expanded significantly with hundreds of locations across the western United States and plans to continue national growth. Despite its rapid expansion, the company has stayed true to its core values, serving great drinks while spreading kindness and building strong connections with the communities. Dutch Bros has also made community outreach to keep a key part of its brand regarding re, hosting Dutch Love and Drink One for Dane events to support local charities and ALS researchers in honor of co-founder Dan Boersma, who passed away in 2009 from the disease. With its strong brand, identity, energetic service, and community or complement to community, Dutch Bros has become more than just a coffee shop. It's a lifestyle brand with a growing national presence. All right, next slide.
All right. With the background out of the way, let's jump into the first segue of the coffee drinker demographic that I had done previous research in with a life mode group within Oregon in its high traffic cities. Beginning with recognizing the consumer base. The first step, as always, into understanding a consumer base is knowing the type of product that people would be interested in purchasing. And the step to that is finding out the typical demographic that can be seen as a coffee drinker who will likely to be returned and become a regular customer, as previously discussed in the Dutch Bros background slide. Uptown individuals. Figure 2 is one such example of this. The figure displays the life mode group known as uptown individuals, which is composed of young, single individuals who prefer well-populated areas such as the counties listed, and they prefer a well-populated life and apartment life. They're known for the high population count that fits the demographic, with the example counties across Oregon. And if you apply that into the likes of California, such as Los Angeles and Sacramento, with their higher population count, and by the respective counties, you see an influx of the uptown individuals lifestyle group. Now, if we apply that into the East Coast, the uptown individuals group correlates with the various coffee locations present in Oregon, as seen in the previous figure. The demographic holds potential with the East Coast for the notable interest and popularity in independent coffee locations, which I will be discussing in a later slide. And this is specifically because of the large independence that many coffee drinkers wish to be seen that isn't specifically tied into a large corporation that focuses on coffee, such as something like Starbucks or Human Bean. Now, one thing I did also want to mention and highlight the limitations of the states is less likely to go on name brand coffee shops and instead browse locally owned and funded locations, which is which is which holds notoriety based on the name brand coffee shop that is currently being popular in a city or a town or anything of that nature. Next slide. Dutch Bros across the West Coast. Now, as you can see here, with the population interest, an important step into learning and understanding the target market for Dutch Brothers in general is exploring the already existing locations that was present within the West Coast as well as the Midwest. Dutch Bros currently operates with more than 900 locations throughout the United States. This is just based on the S3 database that we had found that was previously updated to only having 900 listed locations. This has since been out of date and now actually has over 1,000 locations, which will be mentioned again here later on in the slides, and currently operates with the predominant force of its with its coffee drive-through locations being the west coast of the United States and some areas across the Midwest. Or sorry, not Midwest, the Southwest. Apologies. Figure 1 illustrates the distribution of Dutch Bros locations nationwide, just based on like if you look at a single city such as Salem or Portland, Oregon, you can see a massive influx of coffee shop locations ranging from 99 locations to over 100 locations. And that same idea can be reflected if you go down across the West Coast into California, and you can see like Sacramento having over 100 locations and the large influx of locations within Los Angeles and San Diego. And then as it slowly branches towards the southwest, the larger cities have their own expansion of coffee shop locations. The number of these locations is, as mentioned, directly proportionate to both the population size within the areas of the cities, as well as the demographic that was previously mentioned, the uptown individuals, but also another demographic that can be applied, but that will be leave for a later slide. Now, the scattered locations across the Southwest is displayed because of the rise in popularity of Dutch Bros as a company and corporation that's, as previously mentioned in the background, started off in Grants Pass, but due to its rise in popularity and distinctive nature, it expanded outward into what we see now. Excuse me. And that can be further seen when, if, as mentioned, you can look at Idaho, Nevada, Utah, and Arizona, these larger cities having over 80 locations, and the population and the life mode group present further supports the expansion of this into neighboring states across the entire nation. And many people can be seeing this as an alternative to a corporation such as Starbucks. And one last thing to highlight is Midwest difficulties. As you can see in Figure 1 across the Midwest, states such as Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, and South Dakota, they're known for their distinctive agricultural landscape because of the limitations to what can be used for their entire land, for farmland. So because of this, it makes expansion into industries such as those like significantly more difficult, but also their much smaller population by counties as well. Because of this, it is not a viable option at this moment to expand into these locations without secondary and primary market research until further data can be obtained through various sources like Esri or IBIS World. It is best to just focus on the Southwest and as mentioned, the excuse me, the West Coast. Next. Dutch Bros in Orlando, Florida. Now, beginning with the observation of Orlando, as mentioned before, the Dutch Bros Corporation announced an aggressive expansion into various cities throughout the United States. The 1,000th location that I mentioned before that was previously out of date, the 1,000th location was now in Orlando, Florida. It marked the first location for Dutch Brothers on the East Coast of the United States. And by tracking the average sales from coffee and tea industries and locations within the state, we're able to better understand what demographic and age group would be obtainable for a sustainable and suitable market base compared to the various other states within the East Coast. An important note to highlight is the present popularity of independent locations as mentioned in Figure 3, where if we can see by the independent margin here, over 90% of it is largely focused on independent companies and industries rather than based on an already existing corporation such as Starbucks, where the independence, whether it be coffee or boba, is a significant point for popularity for the target demographic in Orlando, Florida. So it is a necessary point to mention if we are expanding into other neighboring states such as Washington, D.C., that may follow the same principle here, or it may diverge. The sales speculation, as you can see here, the breakdown of the independent coffee and tea industry within Florida assists in analyzing the competitors in key cities, as mentioned, something like Starbucks. Cities such as Tampa, Orlando, Florida, or Miami have significantly more coffee-related locations, as mentioned within the figure, which make up a total of the sales revenue of the entire state. A new expansion, if we were going to be doing this into, as mentioned before, neighboring states, will need to be well populated for sustainable longevity, and cities with less population may still have potential, but will need to be taken into consideration after target research and demographic data is obtained. And some locations across the West Coast and Southwest have had success with smaller populations, as mentioned in the prior slide. An important note is to factor the typical age group and lifestyle choices as well for those likelier to eat out or go through drive-throughs. Next. The coffee shop trends for New York. Now, the big thing here was when doing research on New York as a potential option for a location was targeting Generation Z as a consumer audience. As displayed over there on Figure 5, which displays the 2024 coffee revenue for the young adult age range of 20 to 29, which you can see there, which is broken down into two segments, ages 20 to 24, and then ages 20 to 29. Based on an industry report by Pooja Lal from Mintel, the young consumer demonstrates a marketed preference for purchasing coffee and tea from popular chain locations such as Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, reflecting their inclination towards recognizable brands and convenience. This was one of the key reports that we took into consideration when trying to consider expansion from the West Coast into the East Coast, as to like people many times, regardless of the audience, prefer a name brand that they can attach to. Oftentimes, when it comes to younger generations, such as Generation Z in question, they seem to have an inclination towards a target market or corporation that they can see as fits within their demographic and it's within their own principles or values. And henceforth, that's why Dutch Bros became a distinctive popularity among the young adult age. As mentioned before, the tea and coffee drinkers among Gen Z, the reason for this, which is what led to the growth and the influx of coffee locations and options within already existing franchises. An important factor in the expansion and promotion of new businesses is already the nature of competitive locations and familiarity along with appeal. Now, for the expansion of Dutch Bros Corporation in question, states such as New York appealing to the young audience with lesser populated areas compared to New York City, as displayed in Figure 5, will be critical to slow but steady expansion into the East Coast. Go ahead. Now, the breakdown here from what we found for New York's coffee shop locations. Larger cities. So as mentioned in Figure 4, or as we can see in Figure 4, the number of residents and tourists within New York has allowed for thousands of coffee shops to be opened, making the city a highly competitive market scene for any new or existing company that wished to expand into the heart of New York. According to the U.S. Census Bureau of 2023, New York City's 20 to 29 age population makes up over 1 million of the total population. This figure presents the total number of coffee shops spread throughout the state of New York, signified by the red dot mentioned in the immediate area. And the largest number of coffee shops, which is seen within New York, is over 1,254 locations. Because of this, alternative locations have to be considered. The figure also shows that other regions in the state of New York have a coffee shop count ranging from 2 to 83 compared to New York City. So an alternative scenario for company expansion, for example, Dutch Bros, would be a target of the less populated locations, some examples being Albany or even small villages such as Chester. The census data from New York City validates this idea, but only through experimentation and prediction. Less populated cities, as mentioned, with small industries have a very scattered success rate. It's because of the intended reliability for these smaller cities having a dependency to whatever their economy is focused towards, and any further expansion into an unknown variable such as the coffee demographic may throughout the entire economy prediction that they have within their counties. If expanding into East Coast locations is if expanding into the East Coast locations in New York is attempted, GIS data and real-time data must be tracked and provided by ESRI and can provide insight into the towns and villages such as Albany. Now, when we speak of viability, now while New York seems like the best candidate on the surface, it is significantly hampered by the reach into the far east coast side of the United States as an immediate location for expansion, and it would be best to search for states that is closer to the inner East Coast or southern East states. Go ahead.
Why the East Coast? With the exception of Florida, Dutch Bros has not yet established locations on the East Coast of the United States. According to the IBIS World Industry Report on coffee shops, the company's primary target market consists of individuals with mid to high income levels, primarily millennials and members of Generation Z, ranging from 16 to 45 years old. The figure presented illustrates the U.S. states under consideration for Dutch Bros expansion to the East Coast, focusing on regions where key demographic factors align with the company's target audience. Each highlighted state demonstrates a median income above the national average and a population in which at least 40% of the residents fall within the 16 to 45-year-old demographic. Based on these criteria, Virginia, Maryland, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., and New York represent the most viable options for Dutch Bros expansion into the East Coast market. This figure is represented in this figure and the figure on the next slide are both represented in percentage-based data rather than raw population counts to allow for fair comparisons between states with vastly different population sizes. Using percentage-based maps will ensure to focus on regions where a significant portion of the population aligns with the target criteria rather than just where a large number of people are overall. Dutch Bros has a compelling opportunity to expand into East Coast market, provided the company leverages data-driven site locations, targets high percentage demographics, and positions itself effectively against competitors. As outlined in slide 6, coffee drinkers primarily fall in the Tapestry Life Mode 3 classification. Figure 7 illustrates the percentage of the population aged 18 and over that belong to the lattes and laptops tapestry segment. Among the states analyzed, Washington, D.C. has the highest concentration of residents in this segment at 21.24%, followed by New York at 4.66% and Massachusetts at 2.91%. Based on this data, Washington, D.C. emerges as the most promising location for Dutch Bros expansion to the East Coast. The lattes and laptops demographics in Washington, D.C. consists predominantly of educated professionals in their 30s. These individuals tend to live in small households averaging 1.87 people per household and prefer urban living in densely populated areas. A significant portion of this group relies on walking, biking, or public transportation for commuting, further reinforcing their engagement with local coffee culture. Key demographic indicators in Washington, D.C. include a median age of 34.5 years, a median household income of $105,000 and $897,000, a high population concentration in city centers, and a strong preference for specialty coffee shops and social gathering places. Given the high percentage of residents in this segment and their high disposable income, Washington, D.C. represents an optimal location for expansion, aligning with Dutch Bros' target market of mid to high income coffee consumers, primarily millennials and Generation Z. Coffee shops in Washington, D.C. The figure to the left shows businesses categorized under the NAICS code 722-51505, coffee shops in Washington, D.C. Coffee shops The shops are represented with a blue coffee cup icon, while red numbers indicate a cluster of coffee shops and how many are in that area. In 2024, Washington, D.C. had 150 coffee shops, demonstrating a highly competitive market. The table to the right shows a breakdown of major coffee chains in the area. Starbucks holds a dominant market presence. They have the they have the majority of the coffee shop locations in Washington, D.C., with a total of 64 locations in 2024. Coming in second is Dunkin' Donuts with 19 locations, Pete's with 6 locations, and La Colombe with 5 locations. Washington, D.C. maintains a thriving coffee shop industry, with Starbucks leading in total locations. However, understanding the local demographics is essential for any new entrant. For Dutch Bros to successfully enter the market in Washington, D.C., they must focus on establishing their brand identity that resonates with young professionals and urban dwellers. They must target high-foot areas where competitors such as Starbucks and Dunkin's thrive, while also identifying underserved neighborhoods with high potential. Given these factors, Dutch Bros has a strong opportunity to gain market share in Washington, D.C. Here's a traffic analysis for optimal Dutch Bros expansion. This figure illustrates coffee shops distributed in Washington, D.C., enhanced with an average daily driver layer. The traffic layer highlights key corridors where vehicle flow is high, yet coffee shop presence remains low, representing a viable opportunity for expansion. One notable corridor is Highway 295, stretching from Suitland Parkway to Blue Plains Drive, southwest. Despite daily drive counts between 60 to 120,000 vehicles, this area has few coffee shops, with one located at Bolling Air Force Base. The lack of competitors along this highly trafficked route presents a strategic opportunity for Dutch Bros to establish a highly visible location near Shepherd Parkway. Beyond Highway 295, 2 other corridors exhibit promising opportunities. U.S. Highway 1 sustains traffic counts that exceed 60,000 vehicles per day, with few competing coffee shops, as well as Highway 50. Okay. Ideal places for expansion will have good visibility and accessibility. Locations near thoroughfares will maximize exposure to daily commuters. Ideal areas will have high traffic counts, and low coffee shop presence will minimize direct competition while capturing untapped demand. All right, this slide shows our best property location that we have come up with based on commercial land availability in Washington, D.C. The figure to the left, figure 10, illustrates all available commercial land for sale in Washington, D.C. as of June 3rd, 2025, particularly along Highway 295, where multiple properties are currently on the market. Among the available options, the location highlighted in blue stands out as the most cost-effective choice for a potential Dutch Bros location. This property is located at 2628 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. The price of this property is $1.15 million, significantly lower than nearby properties listed at 3.9 and 2.1 million. This selected property offers a strategic balance between affordability and functionality, making this property an attractive investment compared to other listings in the area. Key features of this property are the lot size at 0.24 acres, an ideal footprint for a mid-sized coffee shop location. This property has this property also has 7 parking spots dedicated, ensuring convenient access for customers and parking for employees. The final attraction to this property is the fact that it is fully entitled site with DCRA approved plans and all required permits for immediate construction. Having pre-approved plans and permits means the property is ready for development, eliminating time-consuming entitlement processes and expediting the opening timeline for new location. This makes the site